Jim Harbaugh is fool's gold. I think he messed up. I don't believe in Kansas. I just don't. It's like the Monstars came in and sucked all the basketball talent and ability out of him, and he's trying to go find it.
Welcome to the Jboy Show, hosted by Jake Crane.
It's another Thirsty Thursday here on the Jboy Show. Thank you guys for joining us. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button as well. We've got everything covered. Had some great basketball last night. There's some news in the college football world that I'm going to get to, as always, joined by David Cohn, the tree full of glee, and my brother. At least they told me that when he took it home from the hospital, Blaine Crane. I appreciate you guys joining us. We're going to get to the college basketball world. Like I said, a lot went on last night, but I want to start with some news out of college football. Jim Harbaugh and Michigan have agreed to a deal through 2026, 5-year deal. The numbers haven't been disclosed yet. We know it's going to be a lot of money.
36.6 mil, actually.
36.6 mil.
7.34 a year.
7.34 a year. Here's what I'm going to say to that. Jim Harbaugh is fool's gold. I think you messed up. And here's what I mean by that. He's been there 8 years. Now, it hasn't been horrible, but he hasn't put a ring on anybody's finger until last season. So if you're looking at the sample size, you went and cut his pay last year. You went in there, you opened the door, you sat down, you said, Jim, we're going to need some of that money back because you're not doing what we asked you to do. You hadn't done anything against Ohio State. You're screwing up against Michigan State. You haven't done well in the bowl games, and there's really no championships of any sort. You can dive in and say, well, we tied for the East. Well, that's great. You know, we all know what tying's like. But Michigan deciding to make it 5 years, to pay you that amount of money for one good year, to me is a mistake. You're believing in them too much. It's the Tooth Fairy syndrome. It's the Santa Claus syndrome. If it was me, and I was the higher-ups at Michigan, after you just went and interviewed for a job in the NFL on signing day, you're losing coordinators. We know about Gaddis leaving, that whole situation. But you're going to have to prove it to me more. Why not extend him 2 years? Pay him that amount of money for 2 years if you want.
Yep.
Pay him that amount of money. That's fine. But you still have leverage. Michigan has got to stop acting like the side chick. You got to stop doing it. You're Michigan, one of the blue bloods of the sport, winningest college football program of all time. And you looked in the mirror and you're a 10 and we're like, I'm a 6, a 7 maybe. But it's not like Jim Harbaugh is the greatest coach of all time, or he has done really anything in Michigan past this, last year where you won the Big Ten, you caught Ohio State tripping, and I got to give him credit for that. Give him credit for that. But when you look at the commitment that you just made, it's fool's gold. Give him 2 years, pay him good, prove it to me again. Prove it to me again. Like Kanye with the fish sticks joke, I want you to explain it to me. I want you to show me that you can do it again. Now you've put all your eggs in a basket. You didn't have to. So when they're not very good next year, and Ohio State, who's 13 flavors of pissed with Ryan Day and CJ Stroud and Heaven's Army coming back to play you, and they beat you by 25, and you win 8-9 games, then the same thing happens the next year. Then what happens? Gonna have to kick that door down again. Gonna have to convince them again to take a pay cut. Maybe that was the best strategy. You just took the only strategy that worked for Jim Harbaugh and did the exact opposite. So you're going all in on him, and I don't understand it. I really don't understand it. You could have made this a lot easier. You could have given yourself a way out, especially when you just caught him looking at another girl while you're walking down the street. I don't understand why you would take that leap of faith off really one championship year. Then you go and play Georgia, and you played it safe. Not that you were going to beat them, but you played it safe. It looked to me like as a coaching staff, they were happy to be there. So I'm going to give Michigan fans this warning. And I'm a college football purist, as pure as the driven snow. But Michigan needs to be good. Ohio State needs to be good. USC needs to be good. Miami needs to be good. But Michigan, in my opinion, you overreached. And now you're going to have to pay the price. And I would love to come back here 2 or 3 years later and be like, you know what? I was wrong. It was a great decision. But you've had a sample size. He's shown you over an 8-year span what you're going to get. You had 1 year where you beat Ohio State. 1. Point differential with Brady Hoke against Ohio State, who's not exactly Newt Rockne, was minus 14. With Jim Harbaugh playing more games against them, which in theory should help you with point differential if you're doing a good job, is minus 80. Minus 80. Michigan, you are one of the gold standards of college football over the long term. One of the blue bloods. Start acting like it. You're not the side chick. You're the Queen of England. And you're falling in love with the wrong person. And I'm going to come back on here after next year. Y'all remember I said, write this down, put it on a tablet, and put it in Mesopotamia and bury it 100 feet. We'll dig it up next year, and when you come back and you're all pissed off, and Jim Harbaugh showing up in khaki shorts or cargo shorts and cleats and taking his shirt off at 7-on-7 and winning 8 games and getting drubbed by Ohio State and losing in the Meineke Car Care Bowl to San Jose State, you're going to say, wow, Jake, you were 100% right. It's fool's gold. You might as well take a trip to DeSoto Caverns and think you're Christopher Columbus. Cone, you played at Michigan. What do you think? This was so stupid.
This guy doesn't get that fired up unless he's truly passionate about something. It makes me so proud to know that he wants Michigan to be good for college football that badly to get that fired up about it. I'm going to push back on a few things, but overall,
you come here and push me, I'm going to be
Thank you. Not physically, but here's the 3 questions I think we need to answer. The first one is Michigan better off this season coming up with Jim Harbaugh as their head coach? To me, the answer is yes.
Yes, because it's more stability in the short term.
The ghost of Bo Schembechler could come coach this season. It's still a coaching change, right? So had he left the program a couple of weeks ago and taken the head coaching job for the Minnesota Vikings, we would have been worse off.
And let me caveat that. I'm not saying fire him.
Yes.
I'm saying you shouldn't have given him 5 years and half the gold in the vault.
And there seems to be this mental dichotomy where people either think, well, he needs to be gone, or you need to sign him to a long-term deal, and he's the guy. Every Michigan fan I talk to is either like one or the other. I like your idea of the 2-year contract, but either way, yes, we need him to coach this season to have a chance to duplicate what happened last season. That much I'll say yes for sure. The other 2 questions: has Michigan reached their ceiling with Jim Harbaugh? Is this the best Michigan can hope to do? Like this past season, going to the playoff, winning 1 Big Ten, and losing to an SEC team. Is that the best that we can do out of the entire coaching pool of the whole world? I'm biased. I'm always going to say no. I'm always going to say that a blue blood program like the University of Michigan, that's the winningest program in the history of the sport with the largest stadium, should aspire to championships every single season. Whoever's there needs to beat Ohio certainly as often as they're beating you. That's the minimum. You need to beat Michigan State more often than they're beating you, period. You need to go win bowl game. You need to win as many bowl games as you're losing. He hasn't been doing that. So
big bowl games. Bowl games that matter.
So I'm always going to say no. Unless Michigan is winning national championships consistently, they have not reached their ceiling, okay? Other college football fans may say, look, you're too biased. I need to push back on you. The glory days of Michigan winning the Big Ten.
But the capabilities there, Cone. That's what I'm saying.
Think, and I'm always going to think that, and I'll admit my bias, okay? The last one is, well, then the inverse of that, has Harbaugh reached his ceiling at Michigan? Okay. Is last year the best he can do? And this is where Michigan fans are split on it exactly. It's like, finally broke through the 1 Big Ten championship, the final win over Ohio, and making the college football playoff. That's the best we can hope for. He's not going to win a national championship there. He's not going to beat Ohio at Ohio regularly. There's fans who think both things, right? So I agree with you that Michigan is better off for having Jim Harbaugh coach these next few seasons. Will they be better off in 5 years when this contract is fulfilled? That's the question that I want to know. But look, Michigan fans have been begging him to break through. Please break through. Live up to your potential. You were a star quarterback at Michigan. We're giving you the benefit of every single doubt. Exactly what Nebraska's doing with Scott Frost right now, okay? They're hoping that he can duplicate what a Kirby Smart is doing, right, at Georgia. Begging him to break through, and he finally did. He accomplished all those things that you're wanting to see at Michigan, short of a national title. But look, most teams don't go from 2-4 to being undefeated and win the national championship the next season. So here's the question. Was this a stepping stone to the ultimate prize, and can Jim Harbaugh do that? Or was this the best you can hope for, and it'll take another 8 seasons just to duplicate this non-championship winning team. I'm down for giving him the opportunity to do it.
I want to mold my argument for it to be more concise to understand where I'm coming from. Do I think Jim Harbaugh is a bad coach? No, I don't think he's a bad coach. Do I think he's an elite coach? No, I do not. I don't think he's elite. What I'm saying is keeping him is great, like you said. Coming off that year, I made the same argument about Zach Taylor going to the Super Bowl. Why would you get rid of a guy that's doing great? I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is you overreached. You overreached. You could have gotten him for a lot lower price, shorter amount of years to give you an escape plan or a clause to get out so you're not stuck with a buyout because you're going to pay him $36.5 million over 5 years. What I'm saying is you believe in him too much. You believe in him too, and you didn't have to. You have the leverage. You've been there 8 years, right? All right, if I'm a basketball coach, I let a guy shoot 8 threes, and you hit one of them, I'm not signing you to a multi-million-dollar year to be a three-point shooter because you hit one of them in a clutch situation. Maybe you hit a three to win the game. But to me, you got it dangled in front of you. You saw Jim Harbaugh, prime, best Jim Harbaugh you're going to find. Had a lot of things go right. But over an 8-year span, we've seen it. It's been a little bit above average. I just don't understand why you would sit there and wheel in all the gold and say you had one good year, you beat Ohio 1 out of 8 times. That's not the standard. If that's the standard, then pack your stuff up and go home and stop talking like a big dog and stop acting like a big dog if that's the standard. Because to me, you're saying, all right, it's good enough to beat Ohio State 1 out of 8 years. We're going to repay you all the money and more that we decided to take away from you because you weren't doing the job. You still had the leverage and you lost it. And for an institution that considers itself academically excellent, you're academically ignorant for doing this.
And I'll say one more thing before you jump in here. Not only are you saying that as Michigan, but you're also saying it's okay for our head coach to kind of want to be here and to entertain NFL offers every single offseason. Yeah. Now, it sounds to me like Jim Harbaugh sat in front of Ward Manuel last week and said, I entertained this. I was thinking about going back to the NFL. I have a large enough sample size on both. I want to be at Michigan.
What a great opportunity for Michigan to cut the price down even more.
Exactly. Because where would he couldn't go to he's not going to go to another college this season. He's not going to go to an NFL team. But what you're saying is we're fine being sort of a pit stop. Michigan is not a pit stop. There are plenty of great coaches who would treat that as a final job. And I want Michigan to start acting like it. Not necessarily get rid of Jim Harbaugh, but start acting like here's the thing I want to say. Michigan needs to start understanding and telling the world we're going to be national champions and we're going to be great with or without him. For 10 years now, since I left there, for 10 years, I've been hearing Michigan will only really, really be great if we could get Jim Harbaugh. That was when he was at Stanford. Then he had success with the 49ers. Brady Hoke did a lot of good things there. For too long, I've heard that he is the savior of Michigan. When I would love for him to be. It would be fantastic. Build off of what you did this past year. But have the mentality, if he goes or if we kick him out, we're going to be great either way.
No, I agree. The thing about it, you can't let feelings make money decisions.
Emotional decisions, because they get you in trouble, right? That's what they do. And Jim Harbaugh to Michigan is basically the Pope. Yeah. That's what he is. He can do no wrong. Same thing as Scott Frost at Nebraska. Sometimes your hero with the pads on and the helmet can't put a headset on and go coach. Yeah. It just doesn't work.
Sometimes they're Mysterio. And is Jim Harbaugh a bad coach? No, he's not. I think he's 61-24, and it comes back to what's the standard at Michigan. But what I kind of look at, the only thing Jim Harbaugh realistically was known for in the NFL was being he's a great head coach, but great quarterback coach. Alex Smith, Colin Kaepernick. How many quarterbacks has he gotten drafted at Michigan? Yeah. That's shocking. 0 quarterbacks. He's not calling the plays. You just can't let emotions make decisions like this, and you have to know your worth as a Michigan, as the most winning program in college football. And if you want to settle for a guy that was a great quarterback and you're going to hire him because he was a great quarterback and everyone loves him at Michigan, I think, in my opinion, Michigan needed a fresh start. Okay. That's what Breeze Brothers did. For Breeze Brothers, he went to the NFL and wanted, a 9-figure contract. He wanted everything. That's what he wanted, a Gruden contract. And you're not going to get that because if you really look at the entire expanse of his career in college, it's not that good.
No.
1-5 against Ohio State. You're 1-5 against bowl games. No quarterback drafted, and this is y'all hero.
So what would
Sometimes
the
you can
5
see the
years-
hero turn into the what?
What would these 5 years, the villain, what would these 5 years need to look like for him, for you guys both to say, you know what, that's what we want to see. There it is. Now you are worth being in the top 3 highest paid.
Here's what I would say. You beat Ohio State at least 2 out of those 5 years.
Okay.
You keep it about even with Ohio State. You sweep Michigan State. You need to stop letting little brother sneak in the backyard and kiss your girlfriend, because that's what keeps happening. Looking at a bowl situation, you need to win the Big Ten at least once, maybe twice out of those 5 years. Okay, and I may be short selling it for 1 year. You need consistent success. You probably need a Heisman winner. You need somebody that can go in there at the quarterback position with, like you said, the Buddha of quarterback coaches apparently, but can't get one drafted unless there's another war that breaks out. You need that. You need to start making Michigan relevant consistently again. Get into the playoff 2 out of those 5 years. And when you get to the playoff, don't play it safe.
Yeah.
Don't just pass go and get your $200. So to me, you have to recreate success and more for at least 2, maybe 3 out of those 5 years. If you have one bad year out of those 5 years, that's fine. What's a bad year? 8, 9 wins, get destroyed by Ohio State. But you have had more, in Michigan fans' eyes, at least are how it should be, more failures than successes when it comes to the things that matter. You don't go to Michigan to be good in the regular season, lose to Ohio State, lose in a bowl game. That should not be what's expected.
I think Jim Harbaugh needs to win games he's not supposed to win.
Oh, there you go.
That's what
that may be the best.
I mean,
way
that's
to
what
put it.
he has to do. He wins the games he's supposed to win, and he loses the games he's not supposed to win. And you tell great coaches when you can take lesser players, motivate them, and beat the team you're not supposed to beat. Right? You go to Auburn, Alabama, right? Auburn is realistically never better than that Alabama team.
Not since Nick's been there.
Yeah, never better. But they win games that they're not supposed to win.
Yeah, they do.
Right? And Jim Harbaugh, and I do think they need a face at that quarterback position. And, you know, I think Michigan is getting stale on offense. It's just the same thing. After we're going to lean on the run, and we're going to have a mediocre quarterback. I miss the Denard Robinson days.
Yeah.
That's what I miss. You look at Michigan, like, wow, they got that guy. And he's going to be maybe a Heisman winner. Just something needs to smell new at Michigan, because I'm looking at it, and it's been smelling the same for years, and it doesn't smell good.
Yeah. They still got dial-up.
Exactly.
I'll agree with everything that you guys said right there, and I'll add, in those 5 years, we don't want to hear any news about you going to interview with an NFL team.
He's going to do it. I'm going to tell you, if they have success, he's going to do it.
Well,
he wants to go to the NFL, Cone.
And he's
shown you. He's shown you he wants to. They just told him no.
And so that's what I'm saying. That's why the 5 years is like, why not? Again, we can break that down. But here's my thing. Jimbo Fisher is at Texas A&M to ride it out. I mean, he's that could be his final job, and he can have extreme success there, right? Great White Buffalo. Nick Saban, I mean, when he came back from the Miami Dolphins, there was no entertaining he was there, and look what he's done. Kirby Smart's not going to be entertaining. He is home. He is home, okay? So we just want a coach who's home. And we thought that whoever was a star quarterback for Bo Schembechler, certainly you're home, right? You're home. So be home.
Well, if you don't figure it out, that's going to be home alone. They're going to leave him at the airport somewhere. So I do want to move on. Last college football note: if you look, the NCAA has approved a measure that you can now have unlimited, basically, official visits. Okay, I am always for the players and the recruits. I don't have a problem with this rule at all. I think it's great. You want to go visit places multiple times or more than 5? That's great. I have no problem with it. I am always bashing the NCAA because it stands for they never care about athletes. We all know that. They care about money and power. Those are the 2 things they care about. But this rule, which does not act like they weren't kind of forced to do this stuff. No. They're fading away quicker than Michael Jordan's jump shot against the Jazz when it matters. All right, but it doesn't go in. They're on the way out. So when I look at this rule, I'm all for it. That's great. You want to go visit officially? You want to go visit unofficially? You want to go hang out with an official while you're there? I don't care. I think it's good for the sport. More access, the better decision you can make. And I'd go to Hawaii 8 times.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, that or San Diego State. I'm all for the players having more options. As a former player myself, just have more options. I love it, but I think this is good. But the NCAA needs to start looking at some other things, like the transfer portal. Let's get that figured out.
What would be your answer for the transfer portal, real quick? What do you think they need to do?
I don't think you talked
about with the in conference.
I don't think you should be able to transfer in conference, right? Because then tampering it's going to be a mess. But I like more options for the players, and I do think if your position coach leaves, right, or your head coach leaves, you should be able to have the option to leave.
And in conference?
In conference. That's the only way.
I just think if you're going to transfer in conference, the head coach leaves, you should be able to go wherever you want to go.
You're with the position coach more than you're with the head coach.
That doesn't matter. Position coach changes happen all the time. If you want to make the transfer portal more concise and more organized, if you let it happen every time a position coach changes, there'll be kids transferring more than if they worked at Western Union. Okay, so to me, I think you've got to cap it at some point. I think it's the head coach. We'll go down that rabbit hole again at some time. But again, access for the players going on visits.
Love it.
I mean, who's that hurt?
Deciding which college you're going to go to is
kind of a big deal.
It's one of the most important decisions in your life.
Yeah.
So yeah, the more options, the better. I had a lot of people tell me in high school, make sure you take all 5 of your official visits, no matter what. Just take them. You know, I think I had 5 offers anyway. I can't remember if I had that many, but take all your offers. And I only took one. I only went to Michigan, and I didn't want it to look like I didn't want it to look like I was trying to cheating on the spouse or whatever.
Well, you should just be like, I'm going to Toledo just for the hell of it.
Here's my advice to some of these young guys who are deciding to take visits or not is if you're seriously trying to decide between 6 or 7 different schools and you really can't make up your mind, take as many visits as you need. Also, don't let it serve as a distraction, because a lot of these kids, you can only take a visit, say, in the fall, right, when you're in the middle of a high school season. And for most kids, they don't have more than 5 options they're legitimately considering. So I'm like, look, I'm not saying some of these guys can't go take an official visit for a school just to see if they blow them away, even though they probably won't go there and it's kind of a party weekend. But seriously, be mature about your decisions. Treat it like a business trip, because ultimately that's what it's going to be. Yep. Your trip to college to play sports is a business trip, and that's what they're going to expect from you. So look, if you go and you have fun, that's all great, but
I had fun on my visits.
Yeah,
did you?
Yeah, I had a lot of fun.
I'm sure I did on mine. I can't.
That's
remember.
some bonus content
Yeah,
behind the scenes.
I don't know. I'd be afraid to put that on the airwaves. But like I said, it's not a 4-year decision. It's a 40-year decision.
For sure. That's a good way to put it.
I do want to transition to some college basketball here. But before, last night, we had a wild finish. Seen a lot of things in basketball, guys. I've seen a lot. Haven't seen what you're about to see. Concordia versus Briarcliff last night. Getting towards the end of the game, 70-70. We've got the clip here for you. I'm going to let it roll. There's 13.9 seconds just to set it up. Okay, watch Concordia, how wild the end of this game is. Let's roll it. So I'm going to dribble down. He's at the top of the key. I'm going to get off the screen. Little mid-range jumper, splash. Take him to the water park. Make sure you put your floaties on. Briarcliff's coming down. Time's running out. You can see there's literally 5 seconds on the clock when they inbound it. You're going to get a double clutch 3. Wow, you think that's it, right? You think that's it. There's 0.8 seconds. 0.8 seconds. They call a timeout. You've got to throw it, turn around, and tip it. Watch Aaron Rodgers' nephew, not really, make this pass in. It's caught, it's put up, and they win. Full court with 0.8 seconds. Absolutely wild. It was on senior night. A little GPAC basketball there for you. What a night to remember, right? What a night to remember. Shout out to Concordia with the. I've never seen that before.
That's crazy.
Full court. I've seen it past half court. You remember? I think it was who was it? Ray Allen for the Heat that hit. Derek Fisher hit the shot with 0.4 when they got the ball in, but that was from the side. That wasn't a full court pass. This was a full court pass with 0.8 seconds. Dropped an absolute dime. Shout out Concordia.
I saw something that was probably the smartest thing I've seen in basketball, because when you get that late in basketball as an inbounder, you can what? You can run the baseline.
Let me guess. Can I guess?
Yeah, go ahead.
Somebody passed it to another guy on the baseline?
No, so a guy, when you're running the baseline, a guy who, on your own team, the team that's sewn in, you come and set almost a screen almost to the guy running with the guy on the baseline, and you take a charge.
That's actually really smart. That's called pulling the parachute.
That's wizardry at its finest.
I have that was really good.
Villanova did that this year.
And the lefty throw too, just made it extra
makes
special. My question is, did they get fined for rushing the court?
I don't know. Well, it's like on Arrested Development when he's like, "Who all saw that?" It's like, "There's dozens of us." Dozens.
Yeah, they got fined.
They got fined. Yeah, they got fined $13. They got fined
hot dogs.
That's hilarious. But all right, let's get into some crazy college basketball last night. Not that anything was super nuts. I want to start with the Rutgers beating their 4th straight ranked team in a row. Rutgers is on fire, 5-alarm fire right now. Illinois made a little comeback at the end, but Ron Harper Jr. hit some clutch free throws. He's 6'6", like 230, maybe bigger than that. I think he may be 250. But then you look at Mulcahy, who, again, headband on, just saucy, is very, dual threat, you could say, can work in the post, can work outside. Rutgers, Cliff Omiori, a guy that's very talented. They have some pieces. If they're going to make the NCAA tournament, I know they go to Purdue next. They're going to make the NCAA tournament, and you do not want to see them right now. You do not want to catch them in that second round if you're one of those higher seeds, because they have figured it out. They have done their sent their DNA in. They came back. They figured out what it is. Mm-hmm. So Rutgers, shout out to them. 4 straight wins, like I said, over ranked teams. Got another chance at Purdue, a team they beat at home. Ron Harper Jr. hit a big shot late. That's going to be really a tough one with the 2 guys from Mordor and then Jaden Ivey, who's probably an Avenger, but we just don't know.
If I would have told you that Rutgers would have almost doubled up Illinois and rebounded, would you believe me?
I'd have called the Arkham Asylum.
Would you have believed me with that thing Illinois got running up and down the court?
Kofi's a monster.
Yeah, he's like the Thing from Fantastic Four. That's what he is. They doubled him up and rebound. And this Rutgers team is dangerous, man. And they didn't shoot that well either. They shot okay. And I don't know if this says more about Rutgers or Illinois.
They out-physicaled them.
Yeah, they out.
Illinois is good, man. I think it says more about Rutgers. And those last 4 teams are Michigan State, ranked 13. They beat Ohio State when they were ranked 16. They beat Wisconsin, ranked 14. And last night, Illinois, ranked 12. Now they have, like you said, Purdue, ranked 5, Sunday.
If they pull this on, I'm just telling you, it's amazing watching teams. That's what's so cool about college basketball. Start to figure it out as the year goes on. And what a better time to get hot. There's not a better time to get hot, but I wanted to make sure to give that shout out to Rutgers. Illinois, to me, they're going to be fine. You look at their shot selection. Plummer's going to pull it. Yeah. Plummer's going to pull it. Trent Fisher's one of my favorite players to watch. Kofi, you've seen him struggle a little bit lately, still in the National Player of the Year contention, and he's the guy in the NCAA tournament that I think you're going to really see blossom. But, just Rutgers just has won, and we say it all the time, won in multiple ways. They're not just winning one way. It's not like they're just hot from 3. They're rebounding. They're playing physical. The putbacks they got last night, the offensive rebounding, how they're playing in transition, their ability to draw fouls and hit free throws from the line. Rutgers is a dangerous team.
Is Illinois a one-trick pony?
What do you mean?
Are they a one-trick? Do they got Kofi, and if Kofi doesn't have a good day, you don't see them winning a lot of games?
I disagree on that. I've watched Fisher and Plummer. There's been nights where Kofi's been off, and Fisher and Plummer and those guys have helped push them to a win. Illinois is versatile. Now, are they the most versatile team? No. But if Kofi has an off night and they're not shooting well, that's when they're going to get bounced. But you have to look at some similar things here. Illinois takes a lot of threes. They take a lot of contested threes. What happens a lot when you're missing threes? You get long rebounds. It almost negates Kofi a little bit down low, because if you're missing it, it's going far off the rim, then the other team gets in transition. And Kofi's actually not horrible in transition to be as big as
he moves well.
He moves pretty well. It's going to be a really good NBA player. But I think Illinois has to start being a little more balanced. And the nights where you're feeding it into Kofi and he's not playing well, you don't have to keep force feeding it. But when Illinois is good to me is when they're attacking the rim, kicking out for 3. That way Kofi can get it back, get his putbacks, get his dunks off the rim, stuff like that. They can't be too reliant on one or the other. And some nights they're just too reliant. It's like they make their mind up, all right, we're just going to start chucking a ton of threes, or we're just going to feed Kofi. And Kofi, regardless if they double team him, triple team him, if they bring in the National Guard, he's still going to turn around and shoot it even if it's not there.
Yeah, I think Illinois is really good when they get downhill.
That's what I'm saying.
When they start getting downhill on you, that's when Illinois are at their best.
Yeah, it's like going to the mall. Sometimes it's better when you get in the gap. So.
I think Illinois will be fine, but one more comment on Rutgers. So we said they go to Purdue. They already have a home win against Purdue by 2 this season.
Yeah, Ron Harper hit a hell of a shot at the end, game-winning shot. I'm trying to remember if he banked it in or not.
He did.
I think he did bank it in. Let's move on. I want to hit Baylor and Texas Tech real quick.
All right.
Texas Tech, I'll continue to say it. And I know they haven't played great in stretches. Nice win over Baylor last night. Texas Tech is the best team in the Big 12. They're the team I would least like to face, especially now that Baylor doesn't have Everyday John anymore, which is kind of ironical now because his name's Everyday John. He's out for the rest of the season. But look at Kansas. I don't believe. I'd click my heels twice and get the hell out of there because I don't believe in them. So you look around the rest of the conference, the Big 12, we know that they're talented. Iowa State, don't believe in you. Oklahoma, you've blown more opportunities than Enron. So the Big 12, in my opinion, and Iowa has just been too inconsistent. Keegan Murray, we know he's really good. I don't believe Iowa defensively is really about that life, as the kids say. Texas Tech, if I had to pick one team not to play in the Big 12, it's Texas Tech.
I agree. This was one of my bets.
Yeah.
I had a -1.5. And, the thing about Texas Tech is they haven't, and there's nothing better to me than a team who has an identity, right? And their identity is we're going to play great defense.
It's not a Harvey Dent situation.
No two-face, not going to flip a coin and find out, but they're going to play great defense. Kevin O'Bannon, 23 points.
O'Banner.
God,
Keep saying O'Bannon. That's
I know, 23 points with 11
O'Bannon.
boards, all right, and 21 points coming in the second half. 4 players in double digits, and they turn you over, they force you into bad shots, and they're only getting better on offense, but their defense, it travels, man. And at home they're undefeated, but defense travels, especially when you're not winning shots. And their defense didn't play great this game, and great teams can do what?
Win in multiple ways. So you think Texas Tech's the best team in the Big 12 as well?
It's sure as hell not Kansas.
Who are you taking?
So
And
that's my
they swept
question.
Baylor.
So that's my question then. How does 2 and 3 shake out? Is it Baylor, Kansas? Is it Kansas, Baylor? Or is it someone else?
I would put Baylor at 2.
Okay.
I would say Texas Tech, Baylor, and then
Got Cryer back.
Okay.
They got
what about
Cryer
you?
back. Flagler was back. And look, they went to a tough environment. Texas Tech is a really hard place to play. But I love Mark Adams, Texas Tech's head coach. I love the way he goes about things. I love the way, he's the architect of that defense. He was the same way under Chris Beard. Texas, think they're a good team. Don't think they're elite.
Don't got enough.
I don't see them making a run. I don't think they have enough.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take Texas Tech, and then I'm going to put Baylor at that 3rd spot. I'm telling you guys right now, like Blaine said, and I'll give him credit, I don't believe in Kansas. I just don't.
I might take Kansas over Baylor.
Why?
I don't know. Baylor to me, are they going to be healthy in the tournament? Kind of the same thing we were talking about Kentucky. I haven't seen them play complete games while they're healthy consistently.
I can see that argument. Kansas did destroy them at home in Fall Allen. But if tournament, I'm filling out my bracket.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at this.
Sure, me too.
If I'm filling out my bracket.
Me too.
Is if Baylor runs into Kansas in the NCAA tournament, and let's just say everything's equal, every day John's out, Cryer's playing, because again, I can't see the future, or can I? But if they were playing each other in the NCAA tournament, it is going to be harder than the science part on the ACT for me not to take Baylor. It's just hard. Kendall Brown, freak athlete. Put a cape on him. Does he go to the phone booth before the game? I don't know. We'll have to check the cameras. Losing everyday John hurts, but Thamba is very talented. Akinjo, again, we talk about Illinois. When they're getting downhill and they're moving the ball, Cryer is a sniper. We know he's a sniper. He's basically an American sniper. So Baylor has more weapons to me than Kansas does. I love Braun. Abaji, I get it. He's a great scorer. There's been some times where he's put the invisibility cloak on, though, and you can't find him. He's hanging out over there in Hufflepuff. But I just don't think McCormick's been beat up. He's off and on. I would take Baylor in the tournament over.
I'd almost go Texas Tech, Baylor, Texas, Kansas.
Wow, Kansas.
You really don't like Kansas.
Man,
Well, I mean,
I'm not a huge fan of them. Not that I don't like Kansas. It's that I don't think they're as good as whatever.
yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so either. I think they're kind of fraudulent in my opinion. And in that matchup, Texas beat Kansas.
Here's one of the things about the Big 12 I've been feeling, and it's playing out in this conversation, is we're kind of comparing these teams to see, well, which one of these is worse than the other, right? And in some of the other conferences, like the SEC, we're comparing teams like, man, both these are great. Which one of them is better? And so I'm a little more bearish on the Big 12 right now. I do think the SEC is the best conference in basketball right now. I still think the Big 10 is really strong, and I think the Pac-12. I kind of feel the same about the Pac-12 as with the Big 12. UCLA and USC. Arizona is standing alone, right? I think Arizona could be the best team in the country, period. I had them at number 1 yesterday, and overall number 1. But for the entirety of the conference, UCLA is kind of doing some stuff that Baylor's doing to me. USC kind of goes as Isaiah Mobley goes, right? Yeah. So let's see. He could be a problem. Someone like Villanova plays USC in the tournament, and they don't shoot well. USC could beat them. So that could be what we see.
Yeah, Villanova just doesn't have a big, and I think the Pac-12 is a little bit top-heavy. To me,
I think it is too.
UCLA,
Oregon's just been.
Yeah, UCLA.
What you're gonna get?
Man, they've just been almost as inconsistent as Alabama.
But in the
well,
SEC,
UCLA really doesn't have a big either.
What'd you say?
UCLA really doesn't have a big either.
Yeah, so
I don't believe in Riley.
Big, but yeah, you look at the SEC. I think the SEC's, I would say, the deepest conference.
I think so. You're going to Tennessee and losing Mississippi State.
You've got Auburn, Kentucky, Tennessee, Bama's scary. You can lose
Bama,
anywhere on any
LSU.
night. LSU is starting to, follow the bouncing balls
Texas
and figure it out
A&M
again.
is not bad.
Yeah, I mean, Vanderbilt is sneaky good, which we'll talk about in a
Seriously.
second. So I think it is more even in the SEC, or there's more good teams from the top to the bottom than there is in any other league. I really do believe that. They did win the SEC Big 12 Challenge, like we said they were. But let's move on. I do want to hit really quick. Purdue got the win over Northwestern. It wasn't beautiful. Purdue, Northwestern's a tough
Sneaky
place to
team.
play. They are. They're a sneaky team. That was a nice win. Bama, Mississippi State. Nate Oates got 2 techs and got thrown out. The first one, he should have gotten. The second one, I don't know what the hell they called a tech on him for. And y'all know me. I'm not a huge fan of the referees. Not a huge fan of them. And Jay Billis had a great article. We're going to hit that stuff tomorrow. But the officiating's been horrible in college basketball. It has been so bad. I don't want to jump into it right now. I really do low-key come, but I'm not going to do it. You know why? Because I'm disciplined somewhat. So, Bama, nice win. They get back to even the league. I think they go to Kentucky on Saturday. Bama didn't play great. Mississippi State has been struggling. My thing was Mississippi State shot selection at the end of that game was horrible.
Yep.
You have Cam Matthews taking big 3. You might as well let Devin Cambridge from Auburn shoot him.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that Molinar wasn't the guy, and then Tolu Smith was on the back of a milk carton. You couldn't find him. Had 4 points and 5 fouls. Bediako's going to be pretty good, but Bediako dominated you last night. At one point, he had 15 and 5. He was blocking a ton of people left and right. He's starting to figure out a little bit the more he plays. But Mississippi State shot selection at the end, I'm telling you, this team doesn't make the tournament. Ben Howland is in trouble. You might as well add him to the list of coaches that are on the hot seat in the SEC. We talked about Mike White. We talked about Quanzo Martin. Tom Crean, you can go ahead and just put him out the pasture. He's going to get fired at Georgia. I think his buyout goes down April 1st. Dead man walking there. But Ben Howland is a guy you may have to start asking or looking at to add to that list because he has done more with less this year than a lot of coaches. And we can look back and say, he's one of a couple coaches that take multiple teams to the Final Four or whatever, but we're not talking about when TVs are black and white. We're talking about right now with what you have, and he's not getting the job done at Mississippi State.
Yeah, Alabama outscored Mississippi State 17-9 in the last 7 minutes of that game. And, I feel like that game pace-wise was favored Mississippi State.
It was.
It was favored Mississippi State. And back on that Nate Oates thing, the first tech, I understand. The second tech, apparently the ref said something to him, and Nate Oates was like, do it. Do it.
Do you think he was making a play to throw me out to get my team fired up? I have a hard time, guys. I have been in it. And somebody would be like, you know what? He got thrown out to fire the team up. In baseball, okay, because you don't make nearly as many moves in baseball as you do in basketball. It's not nearly as fast-paced, and he can sneak back in there and be like, hey, put Reynolds in.
Yeah.
But in college basketball, as a head coach, when you're in the situation Bama is, I just have a hard time believing you're like, you know what? I'm out of here. Throw me out. Don't want any more of it.
Go put a hat on and sit in the stand somewhere.
I'll start with Mississippi State. First of all, the shot selection down the stretch was atrocious.
It was atrocious.
Absolutely horrible. You're athletic and you're physical, so what? If you're not disciplined enough to take good shots, then you're not going to beat teams like Alabama, and you're not going to do anything in the tournament if you even get there, okay? To Alabama, it has to be nice for Alabama fans to see Bediako playing so much better.
Yep.
And Noah having a big game a few nights ago. J.D. Davison is starting to figure it out. He can rebound. Look,
still turning it over too much,
if
but if
he
he
can get
can
the
eliminate
turnovers
that.
figured out, they don't need him to be a 15-10 guy.
They don't.
Okay, just don't turn the ball over, and you're doing great things. My thing is, and Quinterly still had 20 plus. I think Shackelford had 8. My thing is, I still haven't really seen Alabama play a complete game. Can all of those ancillary pieces do their jobs and support, and Quinterly and Shackelford both go for 20 a night, or both of them have great games? That's what I want to see, because if they do and they can shoot 60% like they did against Ole Miss, man, they're gonna be an Elite 8 and Final Four team. I just haven't seen them play a complete game yet.
Yeah, well, to me, the threes, they're either going to be there or they're not. The common denominator when I look at Bama is how well are Bediako and Rojas playing.
Okay.
You know what you're going to get out of Miles. Jawan Gary, he's like a bad father. He'll show up every now and again. But when you look at this Alabama team, if they can continue to have good rim protection, be able to get stops, Bediako doesn't get in foul trouble, because he wasn't great at the line the other night, but he's actually got pretty good touch to be as big and as young as he is. Bediako could be a calming factor of, hey, the three ball's not going in. That's fine, but Bediako's able to operate down there. He's really good on the lob. He's pretty good off the pick and roll. He can run in transition. He can do a lot of things. But that game Saturday, and I know we're going to talk about it tomorrow, Bama going to Kentucky. I believe I'm right on that one. Kentucky not having Ty Washington. Could Kentucky be on upset alert? I don't know. It's tough to win in rough.
For sure. I think I look at this Bama team, and I know all the parts need to do. I think they move as Javon Quinterly moves.
Okay.
I feel like
I would say Shaq.
I say he sets the pace for the Alabama offense. That's
He's
what
not
he
even
does.
starting sometimes.
Yeah,
right
which
now.
I think a lot of it he gets in his own head sometimes.
Yeah.
Right? You'll see him miss a couple shots to kind of shut it down a little bit. That's what he does. He ended up with 21 and 8 assists, not many turnovers. But I feel like as Javon Quinterly goes, Bama goes. That's when you find Shackelford open. He beats that front guy. You can kick it to Rojas. Or the little things that Bama does to set up that offense. Javon Quinterly is the quarterback of that offense. Shackelford's the beautiful receiver. Right, and then you got Bediako down low in the trenches.
The tight end.
Do your job, right? Let Quinterly Shackelford get the points. And J.D. Davison, just know your role and don't mess it up.
Yeah, so, and I'm going to get off the Alabama game after this. For Quinterly, he is so much better when he is driving first and taking the pull-up threes second. Because we talk about, you have some running backs that are just really good stretching it out wide. They're not great in between the tackles. Quinterly is so good in between the tackles, you could say, running that offense, that it frees up Shackelford to get open, because they have to start helping. He is one of the best. He's got an unbelievably quick first step. When he is driving and having success, it does two things. It opens up the outside for Shackelford. It gets Miles in the wing. You've got the backside dunker spot if you put it up and don't make it, or you make it, or you get the lob to Bediako. You start making that defense have to compress, and that's when Bama kills you on offense.
Speaking about Miles, how about that dunk to end the game?
That was
yesterday?
nice.
That's pretty nice.
How-
I like him going up and saying, I'm not holding the ball. I'm going to go send a message.
Yeah.
Two things I've always wanted to do in my life: be able to dunk like that and throw a 96 miles per hour fastball. I just want to know what it feels like.
You still working on both those? Or?
No, I kind of asked my knees to kind of.
You gave up?
Shoulders,
Knees, shoulders, heads, and toes. We can all get into
Not
it.
drafting
But-
you on the 3-on-3 team.
You should.
Yeah, we're going to have to relook at our evaluation board.
Wow, that's fine. I'll get my own team.
I do want to move on. Auburn and Vanderbilt last night. Auburn came out a little lackadaisical early, went down 14-3. They were down 11-0. Bruce Pearl got a tech. But y'all know who we're going to talk about. Jabari Smith dropped 31, I believe 31, shot 7 of 10 from 3, and he shot 4 of 7 from the free throw line, something like that. So he could have had more. Could have had 34. Doesn't play a ton of minutes if we're being honest. But Auburn really turned it on there in the latter parts of the first half. Second half, we're able to get out there. They've got to start playing defense without fouling. I know the officials are terrible. They're terrible. Pat Adams, one of the worst in the game. And I hate to say that. He's a terrible official in a group of a lot of terrible officials. And the funny thing is, basically all of college basketball agrees. That's one of the few things they can agree on, outside of March Madness being the greatest postseason sporting event of all time. The officiating's been horrible. We're going to dive into that tomorrow. But when you watch Auburn, Zep Jasper, they called a couple fouls on him that were, iffy. Scottie Pippen went and got his. Wendell Green, was good to see him shoot the ball a little bit better. Getting there, Walker Kessler, again, Mr. Consistent, had 7, 8 blocks, scored 21 points. They had a combined 56 points, I think. Walker Kessler and Jabari Smith. Auburn's got the best front court. 53, I'm sorry. Not a mathematician. But Auburn, when you look at them, Katie Johnson wasn't that bad. They're so diversified in how they can beat you, but they're also consistent in the biggest area. What is the most important position groups we talk about in college football? It's up front. It's the trenches, right? In college basketball, if you can have somebody that can dominate on the interior offensively and defensively, protect the rim, get lobs, put backs the way Walker Kessler can. Dylan Cardwell lost his mind a couple times last night. But there's something I got to get off my chest. I'm going to say it. It's going to upset a lot of Auburn fans. Alan Flanagan's just not very good at basketball right now. He's just not. I know he came off his Achilles, but let me give you a hint. You don't dribble with your feet. You don't make reads with your feet. It's not, everybody's like, oh, he doesn't trust his explosiveness. I watched him explode on the baseline the other night and dunk a ball. I watched him go catch an alley-oop. He's a walking turnover. He's a liability. And I know your dad's a coach. It doesn't matter. And I think West does an unbelievable job of separating the two. and Coach Pearl and them do. But at some point, you got to stop playing this guy so many minutes. You've got to stop. He pouts on the court. His body language is horrible. And Alan Flanigan, it's like the Monstars came in and sucked all the basketball talent and ability out of him. And he's trying to go find it. Like he needs to get Muggsy Bogues and all these other guys to somehow go find it and play some cartoons from Disney to try and find it again. I'm sorry. Like we've watched, and everyone's like, oh, he still needs time. Time? He's been back for a while. You don't play basketball your whole life and just forget because you got hurt. You didn't get your arm knocked off. The dude can't even dribble right now. And it was like, oh, he plays such great defense. He's a good defender, but if Devin Cambridge, number one, will stop shooting, but keep playing defense and rebounding the way he is, he's a much better player. Chris Moore, much better player. At some point, you have got to say Alan Flanigan is not playing good basketball, and there has to be accountability for going out there and turning the ball over. I mean, and they're not just like, oh man, that was a tough turnover, you're dribbling off your foot. I mean, it's like you don't know what's going on. It almost looks like when you go watch the 6 and 7-year-olds playing, they're just going down the court dribbling like this. And the referees are afraid to call a travel or a double dribble. But you have guys just sneaking up behind him. He doesn't call out screens. He doesn't call out woof. He's a liability. I'm sorry. And I can't come on here and lie. I just can't come on here and lie and say, you know what, it's okay. It's okay. You're going to get back because your Achilles is hurt. You don't forget how to dribble and pass and do stuff because you got hurt. And you know, some people say, oh, well, you've never had an Achilles injury. Well, I guess if you get an Achilles injury, and I guess there's something that connects your Achilles to your basketball IQ, wherever that is in your brain. Because it's on the court. The eye in the sky doesn't lie. He's a walking turnover. And if you're Auburn, you're afraid that guy's going to cost you an NCAA tournament. That's what you're afraid
excuses get you beat.
Yeah.
That's what they do. And you look at Alan Flanigan, and, you know, it's tough coming off an Achilles. That's fine. You had 6 turnovers against Vanderbilt, 5 more than anybody on the team. You've not been playing good all year. Then you get you thinking in tournament talk, right? Can Alan Flanigan or Devin Cambridge be the reason Auburn loses in the tournament? For sure.
For sure.
For sure, because Devin, it's simple. You got to quit shooting as much, rebound, play.
But I think Devin would do that.
Yeah,
I think
Alan plays individual basketball.
He really does when you look. And now you get worried and start not trusting yourself, and it's the Jackie Moon. No, you take it. No, you take it. No, you take it. Because right when he drives or right when he does anything, the ball's getting turned over.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, you can watch it. You can make all the excuses you want. You can make all the excuses you want. But anybody that watches basketball, you don't have to be an Auburn fan. You know. So you got to stop making excuses, some people, for everybody because they got hurt. A lot of people get hurt.
On a positive note, though, how about Jabari Smith? I think Jabari Smith realized in this game that he was Jabari Smith.
Yeah.
I really.
It was great. It was fun to see.
And he should take this, man. I don't know if 16 shots is enough. I don't know. I just don't know if it's enough. You know, and there was times where he was open on 3, didn't get the ball kicked to him. But this game, and you go back to the game that they lost in Arkansas, if you're an Auburn fan, the shots that he's taken late and hitting them,
that's a great sign.
Really good about that in the tournament. And then you look at Walker Kessler. Is he the best big man in the league?
Yes.
He has. No, not the league.
Big man in the league?
I'm gonna say this too. How is Walker Kessler not the best big man in the country?
That's what I'm saying.
I think so.
I thought it's the SEC in college basketball.
I mean, you look at what he's doing every night.
It's almost a triple-double every night.
It's as consistent as you're going to get. And he protects from 10 feet out in the rim. Mm-hmm. From 10 feet out. And he has a mid-range jumper. I mean, he can just do it all. I mean, we talked about Sheba. My thing is, too, how is Walker Kessler not in the conversation for player of the year?
Yeah.
I think Jabari might hurt him a little bit with that because of how good Jabari is.
Yes, but again, Walker Kessler, and Jabari's a good defender and a good
16.
rebounder. But I mean, Walker Kessler's legitimately dominant on both sides.
The two of them on their A game, I mean, look out in March, man.
It's tough.
If they're playing good, you're not going to beat them. They're not. Because they can shoot bad and still win.
No one can, if Jabari Smith plays like he did last night, no one in the country can guard him. No one.
You can't.
Now, that alone is not necessarily enough to win a game if everything else is going against you. Say in the tournament, Walker picks up 2 fouls in the first 5 minutes. Say that KD wants to shoot too many shots. Say that Alan Flanigan is turning the ball over and Jabari Smith is hitting every shot and it comes down to the wire and they lose. That could happen. But if that's one piece of the overall Auburn puzzle is that no one in the country can guard Jabari Smith, Who's going to beat him?
I think he's number one pick in the draft.
I think he is too. And him and Scottie Pippen both balled out in front of the scouts.
Scotty's nice. Man.
Scotty's nice.
Scotty's
Good
nice.
for him.
Yeah, Scotty does know.
Scotty does know.
You never say Scotty don't.
All right.
I do want to end, but before we move on, Gonzaga beat Pepperdine last night. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to come on here and just rag on the teams that Gonzaga.
Yeah, you do.
But they had volleyball lines on the court last night. I mean, I'm firmly believe that Pepperdine's players' parents were having to help work in the concessions. They probably changed at halftime in a language arts classroom. That's all I'm saying. It's a joke.
Can I backtrack a little bit?
You want to backtrack?
Top four.
You want? Whoa!
My top four. Can
Wait,
I backtrack a little
this
bit?
Do you want to
never
do this
happened.
instead of around
everybody
the
out
world?
on is this never happened.
Scrap around the world today and do this.
And Judge, I do want to tell my story though, my cool story at the end.
Yeah, I'll just do this real quick. We keep around the world. They might not be a top 4 team. I don't think they're.
Thank you.
Man, it was 20 hours ago.
Welcome
it was
to
20
the winning
hours
side.
ago, Blaine.
I heard
We're going
you
to
watching
die on the hill.
Yeah,
when I was
watched
in
the entire
when I was
game.
asleep back there, I heard the game. You saw it.
I watched
You
the
saw
entire
it.
game, and it got to the point like 6 minutes in, I was like, I was wrong.
Yeah, I'm just telling you. Everybody can gas them up.
Thank you.
All the announcers, when you hear them, Gonzaga's the best offensive team in the country. You're playing against children. I know later in college basketball season is way different than earlier in college basketball season. Pepperdine look, I said this last night on social media, and I got to give them credit. Outside of shooting, dribbling, passing, and defending, Pepperdine is a really good basketball team.
Hey,
other than that.
and here's one thing. We give them credit. They probably do have the best concessions in the country because with the parents make that with love.
They do, but they can't watch their kids' games.
They do the
They
leg
don't
work.
wanna watch
They do the leg work before. Stop
I
it.
Yeah, there was there was tens of
You don't want to see them at the Y. You don't
For
want to
sure
see
not.
Pepperdine at
For
the
sure.
Y.
You don't want to see me at the Y, David. That's
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, look, and I don't mean to take shots at well, yeah, I do. Pepperdine, that was y'all are terrible. 7-21. It's a joke. Just go join a real conference. And we say no, the WCC. They're really good. They're really good this year. How many WCC teams outside of Gonzaga has ever really done anything in the tournament for the past 20 years? Gonzaga's won the conference 20 out of 21 years.
Wow.
There's dynasties that didn't last that long. And like
sounds like
old
Ohio
medieval
Buckeyes.
times.
Something needs to change.
It
If
needs
you're
to
in that
change.
conference, like, man,
I don't respect it. I don't respect it. That's what I'm telling you. Last year with Jalen Suggs was an anomaly. Because what was the big knock on Gonzaga? They get to the tournament, win a couple games, but they never go far and win the big one. It's the closest they've really ever gotten. Jalen Suggs was a legitimate NBA star. But you take him off, Nimhard is a good player. Like on Beer Fest, you got She-Wolf. It's a strawberry beer. It's just okay. You look at the rest of our guys. Look, Nolan Hickman, really good player. I think he's a really good player. Chet Holmgren, we know what he can do, but I'm just telling you guys right now, I said it on social media, and I got bashed by all 14 of the Gonzaga fans. They were not make it past the Sweet 16. So I'm watching that last night. I had to stay up till 10 to watch y'all play the Boy Scout Troop 917. I just started at 10. I'm not staying up to watch any more of them playing these, kindergartners. I'm done doing it. So that's where I'm at on that. I do want to transition. Do you want to do the Matt Stafford clip? Let's do the
Matt Stafford clip, yeah.
Oh, this was rough.
Yeah, so Matt Stafford's getting bashed a little bit today. About the national
I understand.
Super Bowl winning quarterback. You're going to see this. Somebody falls off the stage and Matt Stafford doesn't go to help him. You can think either way. I'm not making a judgment on it either way. If it was me, I would have gone over there and helped to see if she was okay. Let's play the clip.
Immediately two-piece
Matt Stafford said, I'm basically out. Let's roll the clip.
Take care of it, honey.
You can see her. There she goes off the stage. Matt,
I'm out.
I'm out.
Take care of it,
I'm
honey.
out.
Oh, no.
And the significant other's going to
Matt.
her out. You feel horrible for her.
Matt.
I don't want to cause any, HIPAA problems here. She was hurt after it. But, Matt,
Go help her
Go help
out,
her,
man.
Come on, man.
Be the hero.
She's not
She's
dead.
there to celebrate with you.
She's a photographer, so she's actually there to take pictures.
And
so.
celebrate
fact?
with
And
you.
celebrate with you.
Celebrate
So,
taking pictures.
not a great look.
He hits
Matt
the
Stafford's-
water and turns
He did get some good advice from Brady on Twitter today, okay? Who's
Mix it with water?
mix in a water.
Yeah.
He had a cigar, he was like partying.
Yeah.
Brady said mix in a water, trust me.
You got to stay hydrated.
From the
I did love Ashawn Robinson walking around with the huge bottle. I don't know if
Y'all notice Ashawn Robinson looked like he hasn't aged because he looked like he was 40 when he was in college. And he
Yeah,
still looks like
that's the great thing about looking like you're 40 in college. When you're 40, you probably look the same. So that was kind of an interesting clip. Let's get to Around the World, Coney.
All right, here we go.
I'm gonna go last.
I'm going to go back to Formula 1.
Formula
Okay, got some love the other day when we were talking about Formula 1. Here's the deal. Formula 1 fired their race director, Michael Masi, today after the handling of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Like I said, a lot of controversy between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. Lewis Hamilton won 7 straight titles. Okay, there was some controversy.
What was the controversy?
The controversy was the final lap of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix when this guy, I guess, as race director, under caution, like wouldn't let the race finish or something like that. I don't know the technical aspects of it, but Max Verstappen on fresh tires passed Lewis Hamilton on the last lap to keep him from winning 8 championships in a row. And there's a whole lot. That's when Lewis Hamilton said, "I'm going to quit. I'm never going to race again. I'm off. I'm off social media. All that." Look, someone else finally won a championship other than Mercedes. Like, it's good for the sport. If you feel that salty about it, come back next year and beat him, right? But this does say that Formula 1 at least thought there was enough controversy to fire the guy. So everyone's tweeting out that really Lewis Hamilton has won 8 in a row and that it was a fraudulent championship. Look, it's over. It's done. It's in the books.
It's in the books.
Okay? Don't let it happen again. We don't want the sport to become corrupted like boxing, or else you're never going to get off the ground. But if you can get this handled,
See what you did there.
look, boxing. We'll go on a diatribe on boxing. I love it. It's a real problem.
I love that.
Go ahead.
Good. I love that. All right, we're going to the Dutch port city of Rotterdam.
Wow, you're really going carnival.
That's where we're going, all right? Where they're voicing their objection to a plan that would temporarily dismantle a historic bridge to enable Jeff Bezos to take his record-breaking yacht through the bridge.
Wait, they're gonna take down a bridge so Jeff
a historic bridge for Jeff Bezos, who's
hell no.
probably a supervillain,
Yeah.
to come
He's got
through
some
and bring his yacht. So this is what the locals are going to do. So apparently 13,000 people are interested, and 6,000 said that they will attend with rotten eggs, full cartons of rotten eggs to throw at Jeff Bezos'
Wow, that's
boats.
a lot
I
of
love
eggs.
it. People, take it over. Don't let him do it unclean. You mess that yacht up, boys.
Yeah,
Let's
Did you
go.
set up that petition?
What
Damn right
kind
I
of
did.
person takes down wants a historic bridge demolished so they can take their super yacht? You know who? Supervillains do.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, a lot of people think it's Elon. Don't believe it. It's Jeff Bezos. You got to watch out for him. Just hopefully we have a Justice League.
Watch the video with
some
him
sort of
doing the
event
robotic arms
set
and
up.
tell
They
me
get
he's not
LeBron and a couple other people there to help save us, even though LeBron's probably not the best guy to do that. All right, my Around the World, I've got a short story for you.
Ooh, story time?
A short story for you. I'm not going to tell you who this person is until the end. All right, this is going to blow everybody's mind in here. So y'all just go ahead, strap in. So, during the Korean War, guy gets drafted to go to the war, goes to train at a base in California, ends up getting done with his training, and they decide they're just going to keep him on the base as a lifeguard. I guess bases need lifeguard. All right, need lifeguards. So he's from Seattle, doesn't end up going to the war at first, leaves to go back home to see his family in Seattle, is going to leave on a Sunday, fly back to the base. All right, he's going to leave on a Sunday. Gets there fine. When he is supposed to come back, he can't afford a civilian flight. There's no military flights outside of an old World War II dive bomber is flying from Seattle back to the base where he's at in California. So the dive bomber, don't know if you've ever been in one. I've never been in one. It's really built for one person, like the pilot. But he asked and he begged. He couldn't miss work that Monday. So he convinced the pilot to let him climb into the hatch. So you open the hatch under the plane, climb into like a crowded, cramped space. I forgot what the name is, the military name for it is. So he's in there. The guy closes the hatch. They start to take off. When they take off, the hatch opens. Oh. And you can't communicate where this person is and where the pilot is. So we can't tell him, hey, you got to close the hatch. Because when you get high enough, there's not enough oxygen for a person to survive. So the guy in the back is literally freaking out. He's like, I am going to literally die. I'm just going to asphyxiate. I'm going to pass out and die because I don't have oxygen. Well, they get up high enough. Eventually, he passes out. Well, the pilot realizes he didn't put enough gas or fuel in the plane to be able to get it back to the base, from Seattle to the base. They're over the Pacific Ocean. Okay, they're over the Pacific Ocean. And his radio's not working. And he doesn't have enough fuel to land anywhere, even if he knew where an airport was. So they're going to have to make an emergency water landing. Understand, oh boy's passed out in where the hatch is, okay? So they get down low enough where the oxygen starts to hit him again. I guess it was in time. He wakes back up, doesn't know what's going on, sees the water getting closer and closer. They crash land. He survives the crash landing, has to wait till the hatch fills up with water, swims out, of the hatch, looks around, sees the pilot. They each grab a life raft out of the dive bomber. They're able to get rafts. It's really choppy waters. It's at night. It's foggy. They can't see. The water's so choppy it knocks the guy I'm talking about out of his life raft, not the pilot. He has no idea where they're at. So he does the only thing that if you were in the ocean that you could possibly do at that situation. You got to what? Pick a direction, just swim and hope. Swims, I think, a mile and a half, ends up on the shore by a radio tower. He's basically hyper. This is in great white shark breeding grounds, which is a new level of horror for me because I hate sharks. All right, so he gets to the shore, goes and knocks on the radio tower. He's alive. They get him to the Coast Guard, and he survives. You know who that person is?
Is this a celebrity?
Clint Eastwood.
Wow.
Clint Eastwood.
How of course it's Clint Eastwood.
Nuts
There's only
is
so
that?
many people it could be. Clint Eastwood, Burt Reynolds. Those are the two.
How nuts is that?
That's crazy.
Clint
No
Eastwood.
way.
Real life.
That's such a Clint Eastwood
Get
thing.
on
It's the most. How is there not?
That's such a Clint Eastwood.
My thing is, how you're a director? How have you not made a movie about that? About your own survival story?
Maybe it's just
that was
maybe
Clint
it's too.
Think about when he's reading
Eastwood.
scripts every time. He's like
Mind blown. I never.
every script he's ever read has to be
freaking out
boring
right now.
compared to
Yeah,
his
he's
life.
like, I did this in real life.
Yeah.
Anyways, so that's really good around the world. I like a little story time there at the end. I just could not, after I read that,
insane.
I could not tell you guys that. But make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Gonna be back tomorrow. Make sure you tell everybody. And like Ben Howland's career at Mississippi State as a head basketball coach might be at the end this year. We're going. Gone.